Good evening, Lacrosse fans. The Hastings Athletic Department welcomes you to historic McNamara Stadium at Todd Field. Tonight on the turf, we welcome our guests, the TriMAC Blackhawks, to play our own Hastings Raiders. This game is being played according to the rules of the Minnesota State High School League. These rules provide for fair competition among players. You are welcome to support your team and enjoy the skill and competition on display. Spectators, please promote good sportsmanship by supporting great efforts by both teams. Avoid antics that draw attention to you instead of the game. Today is about the student athletes learning, competing, and having fun. This is their time, their place. Sophomore, number 29, Richard Romans. Freshman, number 36, Cole Burke. Senior, number 47, Aiden Lisney. Freshman, number 48, AJ Ridenauer. And junior, number 49, Chadley Mann. The Blackhawks head coach is Ben McLean. And now for the starting lineup for your Hastings Raiders. Senior, number 1, goalie Brady Brzezinski. Sophomore, playing attack, number 2, Jonas Schauer. Senior, number 3, playing defense, Grant Perkins. Senior, defenseman, number 5, Aiden Cadmus. Senior, playing defense, number 6, Fletcher Peterson. Senior, face-off specialist, number 8, Ryan Esterby. Junior, midfielder, number 14, Tony Malesio. Junior, playing attack, number 15, Matt Nagel. Junior, playing defense, number 21, Matt Byer. Sophomore, number 27, playing attack, Carter Hansen. And the Raiders head coach is Brian Wilson. And the rest of the Raiders. At this time, you are invited to please rise, remove your hats, and face the flag at the west end of the stadium as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Making the play.
He gets a pin. Raiders are clawing their way back in this game.
Just snipes one.
It's over. Save. Oh my God!
Did you see that?
Great diving play.
He's hit a touchdown. Hastings Raiders win the ball game.
Degrees, overcast, a little nippy. I mean, it's perfect. You couldn't ask for anything better here tonight. Yeah, spring weather in Minnesota, to say the very least, and hopefully the Raiders can start their season on a positive turn point as we take a look at the Metro East Conference final standings in 2024. Hastings finishing 4th out of 6 teams. St. Thomas Academy taking the regular season crown.
Yeah, and obviously, last year is all we can go with. I mean, this is the first game of the year, but 11 of the 28 players from last year's team were seniors. They're graduated, so you can look at last year, but in some regards, it's a totally new team that we get to see here tonight.
A lot of seniors graduating, and we take a look at the conference for TriMAC, the Independent Metro Athletic Conference. You look at TriMAC, Blake, Providence Academy, and Breck, a very tiny conference, but TriMAC did win it last year, taking home that regular season conference championship. Ready to go, and we are underway from Todd Field. Hastings and TriMAC here on a Thursday night. Raiders opening up with control. We'll take a moment to talk about our starting goaltenders here in a second. A freshman in net tonight for the Blackhawks. It'll be AJ Rydnor. And on the Hastings side of things, we're going to have Brady Brzezinski, the senior goalie.
It was a nice little offensive possession there for Hastings. I mean, once they controlled the ball, they got a nice shot there. Got to figure that's going to pay dividends tonight.
Yeah, Hastings, of course, looking to start this season, start this game with some momentum, carrying to a positive record as Luke Siddick carries it for TriMAC. He was one of their best producers last year. A lot of the TriMAC seniors graduating as well. Their top producers last year. Keep an eye out for number 1, Henry Hartland. He scored 40 goals for the Black and White last year as the Raiders are crashing in at the 20-yard line, feeding towards the middle, getting tied up, thrown to the ground, and TriMAC looks like they have the ball now. And scooped up by Rydnor. A dangerous opportunity there for Carter Hansen. He scored 31 goals last year for the Raiders, as Jonas Schauer put some pressure on. And it's thrown all the way to the other end of the field. Brzezinski made the decision to pick it up finally, and now we're going to have a penalty there, as it appears that Matt Nogel was taken to the ground. So Nogel gets back up, and the Raiders score right away. A 1-0 lead for the Hastings Raiders with 9 minutes and 57 seconds left to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, nice shot there from Mason Hastings. As we'll take another look at the replay here. I mean, he wasn't thinking top shelf. He was thinking all the way in the basement there. And as a goaltender, that's one of the hardest things you can do. I don't envy being a lacrosse goaltender. And when they start whipping it at the feet, you never know how it bounces. You never know when it's going to hit in front of you, and it's a very tricky shot to stop there.
Yeah, Hastings absolutely buried that one. Such weird angles that the turf can bring that ball. You wonder how much more cleanly it would bounce if we were on indoor turf they used to have, or the AstroTurf you might want to call it. And a big collision there at the 25-yard line as Hastings tries to regain control. Behind the net now, giving it back to Rydnor. Kohlberg almost had it for a moment as it escapes right back to the Raiders.
Yeah, TriMAC having a really tough time trying to maintain possession here. You know, that's something that I really look for at the beginning of the year, because that really tells me how well you've been practicing throughout the off season. You know, can you complete clean passes? Can you cradle properly? I mean, is the ball getting knocked out every time a defender's on you? I mean, that really lets you know the offseason preparation that it appears Hastings has done.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Hastings is playing with much more intensity than the Blackhawks are here in the early going.
Yeah, and even though it's not 15 degrees outside, when you get hit and it's 40 degrees, I mean, it's still gonna sting, I'm sure. A lot of parallels to football as well.
We got 46 degrees in Hastings, Minnesota right now as that one went wide right and into our safety nets. We have some rain potential in the forecast. We'll have to see if that actually comes to fruition or not. But we are all nice and dry and warm up here in the McNamara Stadium press box. Thank you for watching Hastings Community TV tonight, as TriMAC tries to even the score and do some damage of their own. 8:20 to go in the first quarter from Hastings. The Raiders are up 1-0 as the physicality continues as a Blackhawk is thrown to the ground. Chopped away at the last second and thrown back into the safe grasps of Fletcher Peterson, the senior defenseman. Running around is Matt Byer. Catch made. Moving up is Hastings. Around the last defenseman. Wide open and went wide left.
Yeah, Hastings going to maintain possession there. And look at how important that crisp passing is. I mean, you see how 2, 3, 4 passes really can set you up offensively when you connect on them.
It just unlocked a huge breakaway there. Raiders couldn't cash in that time, but if they can get a few more of those in this game, they will add on. At the 30-yard line, moving down to the 20. Another one going out of bounds. 7:29 remaining in the first quarter from Todd Field.
And positioning is so important as well, and you see that with Carter Hansen. I mean, even though you missed the shot, I mean, it's not like other sports. Whoever's closest to the out of bounds maintains possession.
And we have another goal. That one's going to be Tony Malesio.
Yeah, what a great start here for Hastings. I mean, they're winning every single facet of the game, the physicality, the technique here tonight, and just a great shot and a little shove at the end, sending the defenseman there to the ground. I mean, this is quite the start here for Hastings here in 2025.
And now Malesio heads back to the Raider bench to maybe take a little bit of a breather. And the Blackhawks are going to come up with this possession. Some foul play called there. The Raiders in their all-white uniforms tonight. The Blackhawks in, the all-blacks. Now, some people call it boring, but I really do think that black and white is a underrated color combination.
It's certainly timeless.
Helps them stand out. I got to hand it to them. I have binoculars on me tonight, but the Blackhawks have done a marvelous job making sure these jersey numbers can be read from 500 yards away.
Not a given. Sometimes the jerseys can get a little goofy at the high school level, so I'm sure we appreciate it.
Now my eyes are half decent, but I would not be envious of anybody who could not claim the same thing about these Raider jerseys. So now the Blackhawks moving it around, and wasn't able to connect with Isaac Scherf, the junior. Now he's got it. William O'Brien passing down. There is a flag on the play. 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. Raiders up 2-0, live on Hastings Community TV. Getting physical behind the net. Nobody has been able to get near Brzezinski to start, and now we're going to get some calls here.
Yeah, and I think that was why TriMAC was so content just to take their time on that possession there, knowing that the Raiders player is going to get sent to the box here.
Yeah, just like a delayed penalty in hockey, working very similarly. How about that Minnesota Wild finish last night? A 15-goal game at the Xcel Energy Center, capped off by Kirill Kaprizov's electrifying overtime one-timer The Wild, maybe their biggest game of the season tomorrow night in Calgary. If they win, it basically locks them into a playoff spot. But if they lose, especially in regulation, then that opens the door for Calgary to keep chasing them with 3 games to go. And that one is going to skirt out of play. No, it was held in. The Raiders will come up with it. So behind the net we go. Spinning around, up come the Raiders. A beautiful pass out in front. And it went in. 3-0 is the lead for Hastings with 5:21 to go in the first quarter.
And there was Carter Hansen there on the goal for Hastings. I mean, again, how many times can I say it in this first quarter? I mean, just nice passes. They're not fumbling, scooping up the ball, which sometimes happens early in the season. I mean, they're in mid-season form, and it's clearly showing on the field here. And then just obviously a great shot as well. I mean, you could do all of the correct things up until the shot, but you still gotta put it in.
You keep mentioning this mid-season form, and I think that is very important. We've seen how putrid the start has been for our Minnesota Twins, and it's like, oh, it's okay. They'll be hitting their stride when it gets warmer in May or June. But I mean, if you're going to be a serious playoff team or postseason aspirations in any sport, you got to start digging in the second you're off to the races. So for the Raiders to stack some early wins when it's colder or less ideal out here would be a great way to start their season.
Well, there's no question, because everybody always says, and it's sort of true, but you have a bad start. Well, it's how you finish, and you can win some games later. But how often is a conference or a division going to come down to a game or 2 or 3, and you'll look back at the early part of the season if you drop some of them. I mean, it will come back to bite you.
And if you're the Raiders, you want a home playoff game or multiple home playoff games come May and June. You don't want to have to go all the way to Woodbury or Egan as Hastings scores again. Can't stop him. Noah Schwam.
And that was just good shooting right there. I mean, it really wasn't, it's kind of ISO ball there. I mean, just coming in and taking a great shot. And 4 goals for Hastings, 4 different goal scorers as well.
4-0 with 4:48 to go in the first quarter, and at this point it looks like a practice out here. It looks like a scrimmage with the varsity team going up against the 8th grade squad from HMS.
Well, maybe they're trying to get revenge for the JV game. TriMAC did beat the Hastings JV 8-1 before this game had started.
For whatever reason, I was seeing that, how TriMAC picked up a very impressive win over the Hastings JV. I figured that we would maybe see something similar, but this is a complete different story between JV and varsity. As we fight for the ball on the ground, just running away is Joshua Holloway, trying to make something out of nothing, but the only issue is he's running in the wrong direction. And now the Raiders have it back in their hands.
So you're saying he's pulling a Jim Marshall?
He is. It's like, well, the Raiders can't score if I just run as far as I can in this direction. The Raiders in firm control. Ivan Hallis had it for a moment. And now Hansen.
Well, and this is the beauty, too. I mean, it's like, week 1 of college football. You see all these upsets. I mean, the same thing happens in high school sports as well. I don't doubt that maybe TriMAC they were a good team last year. They could still be a really good team this year, but, sometimes it's about preparation before the season.
I will not forget how Northern Illinois and it wasn't week 1, it was week 2 or week 3, whatever it was, but Northern Illinois pulling one of the biggest upsets in sports history last year, going to Notre Dame and beating them.
Right up there with Michigan Appalachian State.
You can't say that enough. And then Notre Dame made it all the way to the college football championship game after they took that loss to Northern Illinois, proving that this new 12-team playoff format is really the best thing, because it allows teams to have one shock loss without being. It really felt like when you were back in the 4 teams, there was always one team who you could argue for should belong, but they took a fluke loss or whatever. Now all of the teams that deserve to be in it are there, and the teams that are, the last 3 in are kind of just like, you understand that it's good for them. It's not like they actually took a spot away from anybody. Under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. The Raiders still posting a shutout, 4-0. Brady Brzezinski is having himself a good day in his office so far.
Well, admittedly, it's been a fairly slow start here for Brzezinski in terms of necessary output.
Well, you got to wonder for those goalies how they feel about, you might be a little bit colder just standing there, not really moving your body, but a win's a win. And if you have a more boring game, it might not look the best for film or recruiting purposes, but, you're getting the win.
Well, I'm sure he's not complaining about it as we take another look at the shot here by a TriMAC forward. And, this is pretty much all he's had to deal with. He's maybe 2 or 3 shots on net. That one fairly far off the net, but trying to stay active in between the posts.
2 minutes to go in the first quarter from Todd Field. The Raiders are up 4-0. Live here on Hastings Community TV, a nifty spin move, but it is out of the reach of Henry Conlon. Conlon picks it up now. Chasing after it is Gabe Devereaux. Richard Romans giving it off. 90 seconds to go in the first quarter from Hastings.
And if you're TriMAC here, you really just want to get that goose egg off the board. Obviously, you're not going to score 4 goals here in 90 seconds, but maybe at least try to get something going here offensively that you can take forward into the next quarter.
Yeah, when the Twins blew that game to the Houston Astros last Sunday, the Astros didn't score all 7 runs in 1 inning. It was just chipping away at it bit by bit. And I do apologize if it seems like I've been a little bit angry towards that baseball team that plays in Minneapolis, but it has not been a great start. They were favored to win the AL Central, and now they're 4-9. Back we are with TriMAC. Again, like you said, Owen, they're just trying to get rid of that goose egg, and that's not going to help. Was there a Blackhawk falling down there? But Hastings has been really on their heels here in the last couple minutes of play. 1 minute to go in the first quarter.
But this defense is so rock solid, and a large part of that is because of their positioning. Nobody is out of position. Nobody's giving away any breakaways or any runs or any sort of spacing. And if you do, you get clobbered.
Yeah, they're protecting a pretty tight shell. That none of these Blackhawks have been able to penetrate that last line of defense, get within even 10 feet of Brzezinski.
They're just begging TriMAC to just try to snipe from the outside, which is certainly possible. Being a goaltender in lacrosse is such a difficult thing, but it's a lot easier when you can try to rip and swim to the inside and get a close-range shot.
Yeah, it's definitely possible for this Hastings defensive strategy to work out, as now the Raiders are on the offensive. But like you mentioned, the chances of the Blackhawks scoring from that far out, rather than where the Raiders have scored from all night, a lot less. Now Hastings with some fresh legs. 5 seconds remaining in the quarter. And the clock will stop. Let's see if Hastings can draw up a play here.
Yeah, they were trying to get something to Hastings right in front of the crease there, and he took a sizable hit there from a TriMAC Blackhawk. Maybe enough time here for a couple of passes and a shot.
Under 5 seconds to go in the quarter. If Hastings is going to do something, they got to do it fast. A.J. Rydnor has been shelled here in the first quarter. Could you imagine if Hastings put a cherry on top Still waiting on some last-minute substitutions here for the Blackhawks.
And they're not very certain on what they're doing here because they got a couple of players just going back and forth, right?
Yeah, Brady Wyckoff, number 19, is confused as to if he's supposed to stay or go. But now finally it looks like we're ready to go.
Probably not a sign of good things for TriMAC if there's this level of confusion.
Maybe a little bit of rust from that 2024 season ending, first game blues.
They're still trying to figure this out.
Running off. Who is that? That is 36. Cole Burke has been told to go to the bench.
And well, told to go into the box.
Oh, into the box. Yeah, looks like we got two different Blackhawks in the penalty. 4 seconds, and the Raiders are content to just hold on to it. Interesting decision there, but what a period it was for Hastings. Owen, could the first period have gone any better for the Raiders?
Well, maybe if they take a shot there with the last couple of seconds and get another goal, but I mean, short answer, no. I mean, that's about as good of a start as you can get. I mean, it's not an insurmountable lead, of course, but I mean, 4 goals from 4 different goal scorers. They're just looking on point here tonight, and I can't wait to see what they do for the next 3 quarters.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back with the second period live on Hastings Community TV.
He gets the pin.
What a move, what a goal! Oh, what a shot, scores! The Raiders, can they get the lift? Yes, they do. Just snipes one.
Oh my God! And reaching up and making the play. It's moving. It's over.
Looking to throw, and she's going to get the first down.
Gone! Touchdown, Raiders!
Hi, this is Lucas Foss from Hastings, and on behalf of all Metro East Conference schools, we would like to thank you for supporting us. Please remember to show respect and good sportsmanship at all times. We as athletes will always try our best, and you can expect the same from coaches and officials. Mistakes will be made by everyone involved, but please show support and respect through the contest, no matter the outcome, whether it be online or in the stands.
This degree is available about a week and a half ago, and he's going to walk in May. That's so funny. I never see your mom, but she's now degree.
We're back in Hastings, where the Raiders lead 4-0 here at Todd Field over TriMAC. Second quarter about to get underway. And Owen, that was a very successful first quarter for the Raiders. Let's see if they can build on it here in the second.
Yeah, no question. I mean, you got to figure they're going to keep doing a lot of the same things they were doing in the first quarter, and the onus is on TriMAC here to see if they can't try to play more physical, or how can they break this Hastings defense, because they had possession for a good portion of that final quarter, and they didn't really do much with it due to the Hastings defensive structure.
Now Hastings holding on to their possession after they chose to not take a shot at the end of the first quarter. Let's see if the Raiders can bust in here and get a close-range shot. That'll be long range, and a save made. Another one comes in. The Raiders behind the net now with the ball. 2 saves in a row, and that one's going to skid away. Rydnor, a much better start as the Raiders try to stay on sides.
Well, a much worse start for the TriMAC defense, because every single player is getting beat here. They're out of position, and they're not getting the rebound as well. I mean, it's just Hastings taking shot after shot until that errant pass.
Yeah, Hastings really just teeing off against the Blackhawks here. .46 degrees. Expecting a little bit of rain, but judging by the decisions being made by our patrons in the bleachers tonight, it doesn't look like we've had any rain so far.
Well, we're seeing some people all at the same time putting their hoods up here, so might be starting to drizzle a little bit out there. Little rain is fine, but as long as we don't get any lightning, of course.
Yeah, that would keep us delayed for a while. The Raiders moving inside, a beautiful backdoor pass, but it wouldn't go. Oh, it doesn't get any better than that. Couldn't crack the net for the Raiders, and the ball's back around midfield.
I mean, sometimes it just doesn't bounce your way, but they did everything correct on that sequence there. It's just a lucky bounce for TriMAC, and unlucky bounce for Hastings.
Here's the replay. Look at this pass across the net. Jonas Schauer absolutely in the right spot. It's so difficult to go cross net like that. So much in the way, whether if it's defenders or the goalie themselves. I feel like the physicality of this game has gone down every time the Raiders have scored. Feels like we're playing a much more fast, looser game. When we started, it felt like bodies were flying everywhere.
Yeah, you might wonder if TriMAC might want to go to that just as the lead has kind of expanded as the game has gone on, if they might want to get a little more physical, particularly on defense with all the runs from these Hastings players.
And just as I say that, Matt Byer starts throwing his weight around again, and a TriMAC player hits the deck. Richard Romans. Here's the hit on Romans.
Yeah, that's certainly an announcer jinx right there. But I suppose maybe for the better of the excitement of the game, might actually benefit TriMAC, just given they're having a tough time here offensively.
9:53 to go in the second quarter. Here from Hastings. We take a look around the sporting world tonight. Both the Twins, Timberwolves, and Wild still in season. Wild and Wolves down to the nitty-gritty, getting closer to the playoffs. The Minnesota Timberwolves, maybe the biggest game of their season tonight, down in Memphis, fighting with the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies to stay out of the play-in tournament, to be able to take a week off next week.
Well, you mind if I bring it back to this game here for a second, just as we look at head coach Brian Wilson here for the Hastings Raiders? I just kind of wanted to clarify, because some people might be watching and they might go, well, what is a TriMAC? And it's
and at first you would think it's 3 because Tri.
Right.
But what did we discover before the game?
Well, it's Minnehaha Academy, St. Croix Lutheran Academy, De La Salle, St. Agnes, St. Paul Academy, Concordia, South St. Paul, Nova Classical Academy, New Life Academy of Woodbury, and Unity High School. So a little more than 3.
So, Owen, if you don't mind me asking, did you have to, when you were reading all those schools, did you have to breathe more than once when you were reading that, or were you able to get it in one breath?
See, I'm a professional, so it was a long one. It was a long breath.
I feel like most people wouldn't be able to say all 9 of those schools without. I feel like that should be the rule. If you're going to have a co-op, you need to be able to say all. If oh my goodness.
That's a pretty good rule. Who says no?
Or maybe like if you're typing them on a sheet of paper, 12 size font, Times New Roman, if you can't fit it on one line of standard paper, it's probably too many schools.
Well, I'm going to talk to the MSHSL after this, and I'm going to tell them that.
Now moving with speed, Tony Malesio in front, and the Raiders score again. Noah Schwam, 2 goals in a row.
Well, I think that might have been Carter Hansen on the goal there, but wow, I mean, they're just sprinting down the field, fast pace. Here we'll see the assist there from Tony Malesio.
Oh, all I saw was the 7. It is Carter Hansen.
5 goals tonight, and that's the first time we've had a repeat scorer. Just let you know the depth of this Hastings team, but I mean, this is a thing of beauty right here. And fast break to the max. I mean, that is some high-octane offense right there for Hastings.
9 minutes to go in the second quarter. Carl Warner alongside Owen Ely. And the Raiders just pouring it on now, and I'll try to knock on some wood there because The only thing we want to have pouring tonight is the Raiders offense, not any of the weather. You can see it's gray skies ahoy in southeastern Minnesota tonight. Tonight here at historic McNamara Stadium. How this stadium has changed in the last 10 years, going from grass to this gorgeous turf, and some of our friends who have made indentations to the fencing in that time.
And certainly we're a little biased, but honestly, you know, I've called games all over the Metro, and this is probably my favorite venue to call a game, just down in the bowl.
It is a great bowl feeling. Yeah, it feels like you're right in the middle of the city. I mean, because you kind of are. Like, just the brickwork and everything. It really is a bowl. Most of these other stadiums are, as we have a flag on the play. Most other high school football stadiums, not just in Minnesota, but in the country, are, you know, same level as the grass leading up or the paths leading up, and this feels so unique and so great that we've been able to keep this the site for so many decades. And you think about the tunnel in the northeast corner that used to lead to the old high school.
I mean, it feels like you're playing Sim Cities or City Skyline or something, and you placed a stadium incorrectly below the elevation. I mean, it is something special.
Goodness gracious, look at that yacht going by.
And you never know what you'll see on the road.
61. I think our camera caught it right there, but that is a big guy. Raiders up by 5, under 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, as Carter Hansen, Tony Malesio, you know, the characters we went into this game thinking we're going to have a big impact, they have been showing up tonight. Now we got Schwam passing it back. Grateful to all of our volunteers tonight, making the athletes' experience feel more professional.
It certainly takes a village to put on these events.
Everything from the scorekeeper, and that's a goal. Have ourselves a night. That's Jonas Schauer. 6-0 Raiders.
5th different goal scorer for Hastings, and like you said,
spreading it around.
Yeah, they're spreading it around. They're pouring it on.
It feels like we're in for a section of the show. You have a goal, and you get a goal.
I mean, it's raining goals here. I mean, maybe that's why that yacht was driving by. I mean, it's just raining goals here.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Too much of a dad joke there, but I mean, this is a really impressive start here for Hastings. I mean, if this is how they're going to play in 2025, I mean, I think
you got a lot to look forward to.
Certainly.
You know, for those wondering, the next game for the Raiders will be home versus Eastview Apple Valleys Co-op, 6 p.m. next Tuesday. 4 of the first 5 games for the Raiders this year will be at home. Now think about this. Hastings did not win a game until April 22nd last year. Today is the 10th. So they got something to play for tonight, and that's picking up an early season win. Out in front, and it didn't go in. It went off the pipes. In front once more, and a save made. Still loose.
They threw that penalty flag about 30 feet in the air. That is impressive there. Also impressive goaltending there from Brzezinski. I mean, that's 2 point-blank shots.
Look at the replay here. I think the initial one is going to be the one where it just goes off the pipes. You know, if we had that NHL-level instant replay, you wonder if that really got behind or not. But that second one is all Brzezinski.
Yeah, if we had the tennis technology, yeah, it could be. But that's just, you know, playing on turf, playing on field, playing with lacrosse ball is a lot harder than people might think if you haven't grabbed one, and you just never know how it's going to bounce
Very unpredictable. Then you think about the surface, and a long shot ends the scoring drought. Was it 6 or 1?
Yeah, that was Henry Hartland.
Yeah, Henry Hartland, the 40-goal scorer last year, picks up his first goal of the 2025 season.
Yeah, that's got to feel good for TriMAC just to get something on the board. You got to score 1 before you can score 5. And again, it's like the first goal of the game for Hastings. When you're firing it from shoulder level and it's coming down and bouncing, maybe a foot, 2, 3 feet in front of the goaltender, it's just so hard to figure out where you need to position your legs, where you need to get your net. I mean, it's an unenviable task for any goaltender.
An excellent snipe finally puts TriMAC on the board. Hastings is mad about it, and they score immediately. Talk about a response. That's an angry goal.
Second goal of the night there for Malecchio. Yeah, do you think that goal got Hastings down? I don't think it did. But just 10 seconds later.
Watch the fury on that run. Malecchio says, "You ruin our shutout, I'll ruin you."
He was definitely flinging that with some malice right there. There was some power behind that.
So just over 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. We've got 2 goals in the last, 5 seconds of play?
Yeah, it's a remarkable pace.
Raiders were almost off to the races again. Out in front. Still alive. And a great save made. Still loose. Sticks chopping everywhere. Blackhawks, Raiders fighting for possession. No whistle yet. And finally, TriMAC comes up with it.
Nobody wants to get down and properly grab a ground ball like they drill since you're 4 years old, but you can't just rake at the ball and expect to get it with any regularity. Sometimes you got to get down, and I know that there's a gigantic mass of players there, but somebody's got to go in there and just properly scoop it up.
So both of these teams, it looks like we will take a brief break here. Both of these teams are in the same section and the same level of class. Class 1A, Section 3. TriMAC did win a playoff game last year, but it was a play-in. It was not it's the round before the first round. The Hastings Raiders lost their quarterfinal matchup on the road against Egan, 4-19. And similarly, TriMAC lost their quarterfinal matchup on the road at Woodbury, 4-18. Take a look at the skies tonight. We have not seen any rain just yet, but some of the bleachers are starting to look shinier, so I don't know if that's a great sign or not.
Well, it says it's raining, so maybe that's a good hope for the rest of the game. If this is what it is, I think they'll make through.
Yeah, the bleachers still look somewhat dry. Just it might be the lights reflecting off of the steel.
It looks a little wet down there.
Interested to see if any bit of this turf becomes slippery. But we have seen, especially in the NFL conversations about artificial turf and when it's wet, when you plant your knees and how cleats can get stuck in there. The last thing we need tonight is one of these high school athletes getting injured on this turf.
Such a good point. And it's also very important to still drink water even though it's cold. I feel like a lot of people forget to drink water because it's not 90 degrees out, but that's where you see a lot of the cramping and things. We see it with football every single year. You get these games in the 30s and 40s and below, and you just kind of neglect drinking water.
Yeah. Now, just to get on a soapbox for a second, well, now the Raiders are moving with speed. Down the other way, he's right in front of the net. And a save is made. Matt Beyer just taking it himself coast to coast.
I think that's Tyreek Hill right here. I mean, he is booking it.
Let's maybe not make any Tyreek Hill references after yesterday.
John Ross.
Yes, that's much better.
And that's another thing too that has really benefited Hastings tonight, and why positioning is so important, because they are at least through one game it seems like they're so much faster than TriMAC.
Yes, at the 30-yard line. Under 5 minutes to play in the first half from Hastings. The Raiders up 7-1 over the visiting TriMAC Blackhawks. Carl Warner up in the booth with Owen Ely. The Raiders just passing it around like it's practice time, and that'll hit the back net.
And this is something I really appreciate about their offensive strategy. Is, I mean, sometimes they're so content just to pass it around or to drive in. They're really good on the transition as well. I mean, they're getting it done in a myriad of different ways.
It just feels like there's 10 more players out there for the Raiders as they add another goal.
That's Molecchio. Hat trick for him tonight.
And I don't see any hats flying onto the artificial turf right now. Maybe a little bit too cold for patrons to be. I keep saying patrons. It's because the Masters tournament started today. The broadcasters down at Augusta, they're not allowed to call the people they're watching fans. They have to call them patrons.
I did not know that.
It's one of the many rules about the Masters tournament. Of course, it's famous for not allowing cell phones in with the fans and giving them access to payphones and whatnot, but you wonder who has access to a cell phone at Augusta. Do you think they let the players, or you got to imagine the staff there have to have them?
You would think. I mean, I think people would have a hard time being separated from their cell phones. I mean, for so many people, it's like an extra appendage or something.
Now, from what I've heard, they have to leave them like in their cars outside of the gate. I think they should at least install some lockers for folks if they want to pay them. Just another way of making money. But anyway, the Blackhawks rolling down to the 15-yard line, trying to scrape and claw their way back into this game somehow. Number 8 has the ball. That's how many goals the Raiders have scored tonight. The Blackhawk fans wanted a penalty, and now a flag is thrown.
Well, they're definitely going to get it. Cut and dry. I think we'll see it here. Yeah, just a slash right there to the knee of that midfielder there for TriMAC. It's pretty hard to get away with a slash sometimes when you got that giant D pole. I mean, you got the comically large stick. I mean, it's hard to be subtle.
Comically? Yeah, I guess the goalie stick's a little bit smaller. More like the goalie stick actually looks like a fisher net. It feels like one of those things where if you, for some reason, all of the lacrosse goalie sticks were lost, or in the case of hockey we found back in Duluth last fall, stolen, you could honestly replace the goalie stick with a fishing net.
Well, yeah, I mean, not too. Might be a little hard to Gilman clear, but yeah, you certainly could use one.
That is such a crazy story how it was the Mankato, I believe it was Mankato West, went up for a hockey tournament in Duluth this past season, and they were expecting to play a game on Saturday morning or whatever it was, only to find that their trailer full of hockey sticks was broken into, and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment were stolen. A GoFundMe was started, and each player got to buy a new stick, which was awesome to see. And eventually the Duluth police found the stolen sticks. And then the cool thing was they weren't able to play the game, obviously, up in Duluth. But a couple months later, the Minnesota Wild volunteered the XL Energy Center to let the two teams play with all the bells and whistles of a Wild game to make up for for their missed game due to the theft. One of the cool stories from this last hockey season in Minnesota.
Oh, that's really cool, and I don't have to tell any of the parents around here, but you know that equipment is
not cheap.
Yeah, it's quite pricey.
Moving in deep, the Raiders go, and a flag is thrown. Delayed penalty will arrive, and a long shot again, and the Raiders score anyways. Tony Malesio, he just doesn't stop.
Yeah, that's a crazy sequence right there. I mean, the ball was just careened up into the air. We'll get another look here. That's 3 consecutive goals for Tony Malesio.
A natural hat trick?
A natural hat trick.
My goodness.
I mean, that's just the type of night Hastings is having here, and yeah, just punches it through. Top shelf on Ridenour.
You know, I'm not sure if we've talked about this because we were just talking about high school hockey. I'm not sure if we've discussed this on Hastings Community TV since the news came down, but massive news for the Raider boys hockey team, the Minnesota State High School League. It's kind of hard to explain in 30 seconds or less, but the Raider boys hockey team has competed in Class 2A for the last 25 years, 30 years. Starting for the next 2 seasons minimum, they will be playing in Class A, the smaller class. The Raider boys hockey team will be playing as the biggest small school rather than the smallest big school.
I saw that, and that's so big. There's such a difference, it feels like, between the classes at times. I mean, you really got to, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but you really got to have high ambitions if you're that Hastings team, knowing that you're going down.
And it looks like maybe some rain is starting now. It looks like hoods are coming up. People are moving to drier land. But nonetheless, yes, that is such a huge deal for this community. The idea that the Raiders could realistically make it to the state tournament in boys hockey as soon as this year. I mean, you still got to beat Matamidi in the sections and whatnot, but as far as I know, the Raider boys have never once played at the X. The last time the Hastings Raiders boys made it to the state tournament, and the girls have never been, but the last time the boys made it to the state tournament was when they were playing it at Target Center while the X was being built. Crashing down and scoring! The goal came off. Just an effortless performance by the Raiders. Aggressive goal. It's 9-1.
Yeah, that's James Blair with his first goal of the night. Again, just punching it through. I mean, they were really getting quite the whip on these shots. I mean, sending the goaltender, back into the post.
Forgive me, it's 10-1. 10 goals in the first half from the Hastings Raiders.
Yeah, hey, don't short sell them.
Yeah, there's still 94 seconds left in this half. You wouldn't I should be careful to not eat my words here, but you wouldn't happen to know what the mercy rule for high school lacrosse is, would you?
I had not considered it at the beginning of the game. That's a very good question. I'm sure in the second half we'll come back with that answer.
Might be a discussion point during halftime here shortly, but I would imagine it's one of those things where you still play all 4 quarters, but the 4th quarter might be running time if you're up by a certain amount of goals.
Yeah, which is probably least beneficial in lacrosse. I mean, you get running time in like basketball or something, it just flies through, but I mean, a lot of lacrosse kind of is running time. I mean, of course there's stoppages, but...
And a sniper shot! Unstoppable Noah Schwam. Have yourself an evening. An awkward angle, just defying gravity.
Yeah, he had a goal in the first quarter. Now he's got one here in the second quarter. I mean, they're just zipping past and just flying through the air. I mean, he looked like a Blackhawk through the air, just whipping that thing top shelf.
This looks like Harlem Globetrotters level lacrosse. Like, I'm sorry, but this is why we didn't sell the Raiders short 32 seconds ago. Now, with 1 minute and 2 seconds to go, could they add on even further?
I mean, at that pace, they still got 2 more in them here.
"54 seconds. Here come the Raiders, moving quickly. First pass is crisp. Physicality, getting bumped away. 45 seconds. One Raider is going for a shift. Now Schwam is back out there as the Raiders look to settle things down, take their time, get the best shot possible. They are not done in the first half. The shot comes in, and it looked like the net was dislodged for a second, but A.J. Rydnor puts it back as night begins to creep and creep closer to falling over the sky here in Hastings. 20 seconds. Raiders stole it away, and it wouldn't go. 13 seconds is our whistle.
That's got to be quite a scary visual there if you're Ridenour seeing Malecchio come at you that fast. 5 goals on the night.
12 seconds back into the hands of the goaltender. 8 seconds. Still in Blackhawk possession. They got to move really quickly here. 1 second. Time expires. What a half, Owen. What a half.
Just incredible. I mean, again, you asked me at the end of the first quarter, I mean, could you get a better start? And outside of not having the goose egg, which seems pretty small, compared to the 11, I mean, this is just the ideal start for Hastings, not just for their season opener, but I mean, just moving forward as well with that series of home games upcoming.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing on your screen is not a production error. The Raiders are up 11-1 over the TriMAC Blackhawks at halftime. You're watching Hastings Community TV, also live on Town Square TV. We'll be right back with the second half.
With over 300 passionate educators, our dedication to student success has never been stronger. These educators are more than teachers.
Let's paint the picture.
They are mentors who ignite curiosity and inspire a lifelong passion for learning. Our schools provide real-world experiences through cutting-edge programs in engineering and environmental science. At Hastings, we take pride in our blend of rigorous academics and enriching arts and athletic programs. These programs nourish our students' educational journey, enhancing their creativity and discipline and fostering skills that resonate throughout their academic and personal lives. This is Hastings Public Schools, where we care, we empower, and we achieve. Students are at the heart of all we do.
Whoa.
Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, my friend Jay and I are looking for our dream home, something big. Right now I feel like I'm living on top of him.
Great, let's talk mortgages.
Wait, your bank is looking...
Cozy? Yeah, we like personal interactions. But as you can see, our vault still has plenty of space for our customers' dreams.
Wow!
You took the words right out of my mouth.
inch. I also lowered it pretty substantially. Got it. Yeah, this is pretty. It's not like awful, like to the point where it's like in every crevice, but it's definitely getting pretty coated. Go get my camera bag in the tunnel.
Okay, thank you. All right. Could someone Seth, could you punch up camera 3? Just hit 3 and then enter, please. Did you do it? Thank you. Just get that moved. And then get Max rewinded quick. And then, all right. So worst case. Is that it? Cut back to 2. Cut back to 2. I got camera 3 shaped like blocked a little more. You should be more under the awning. Worst case, man, if it comes down harder, I think we'll have these right to this. say Max is probably closer unless Seth won it back. Seth, you be the tiebreaker since no one cares.
Downtown.
Yeah, because whoever you take home is going to help me in the next one. Max is probably blonde and he was downtown. He's downtown now. He lives downtown now. Alright. Hey, Mike.
Welcome back to Todd Field at McNamara Stadium, where the Raiders boys lacrosse team are having a very great way to start their 2025 season, up 11-1 over the visiting TriMAC Blackhawks. Owen, what did we see in the first half?
Absolute domination. That's what we saw in the first half, to put it plainly. I mean, you just saw one team that came out and they could move the ball, they could possess the ball with ease. They were the faster team, they were better positioned, they had crisper passing. I mean, it's hard to find a sector where Hastings didn't play better in the first half, and that's why the score is what it is.
So at this point, and again, I want to make sure we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. For broadcasting purposes, we'll start to have running time if the Raiders lead by 12 goals. So be on the lookout for that as TriMAC gets us started under the lights at the 35-yard line, carrying it down across the 30. This Raider defense has just been a stout the entire game.
I mean, it's 2014 Legion of Boom defense here tonight. I mean, it's on point. I've been really impressed with the Raiders defense.
Yeah, it's Milwaukee Bucks against the Timberwolves, down by 30 defense. It's 11:15 remaining in the third quarter. And you got to wonder, I mean, the Raiders are up by 10, but you got to wonder if letting in that one goal is kind of a sore spot at this point, because even when you're on the better side of a blowout, you want to hold on to that shutout for your goaltender, not give up any easy ones, have nothing to watch on film. I guess there's really never nothing to watch on film, but...
Well, you know, it's very hard to shut out somebody in lacrosse. I mean, there's enough goals that it's a special thing when you can get a shutout. I mean, of course, you want to be a perfectionist, and I'm sure there would still be stuff to look at. You gave up the one goal, but I don't think any of them would be upset if you told them, you know, you're going to win by double digits here. Or at least on pace, of course.
So the Raiders are on pace to score 22 goals tonight. I don't know what the Minnesota State High School League record is for one game. I'm being facetious, of course. Raiders, of course, just trying to hold on to the win. And sticks are just flying everywhere. Oh my goodness, what a fall that was. Ouch, to say the very least. Hope Carter Hansen is okay.
Yeah, getting that aluminum pole right on the shins. We'll take another look at it here. That's never a fun thing, especially when it's, you know, 40 degrees and dropping.
Watch 27 in white right here. Whack! Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's going to leave a bruise right there. There's no question about it. But, you know, a lot of lacrosse players, they're hockey players, so they're tough. They can deal with it. It's basically just land hockey.
Land hockey? That is, yeah, I've heard all of the lacrosse comparisons to hockey, but I have never heard somebody be that frontal about it. Does make a lot of sense, though. Raiders behind the goaltender. It is still AJ Rydnor out there. Number 48 in black and white. Under 10 minutes to play in the third quarter. The Raiders trying to get the fans sent home early tonight with the mercy rule. Still a little bit of work to do. And they score. 1 goal away for the Raiders.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to be upset if we have to go home early tonight, given the weather. But
that is Jonas Schauer. The binoculars are paying off.
Yeah, that's a big time addition to the broadcast, and that's Schauer's second goal of the night.
The sophomore getting some heavy action tonight. So now the Raiders up by 11. They'll need 1 more goal to earn the running time. Blackhawks trying to muster up anything here.
Yeah, if you're TriMAC, you just got to try to find something positive. Obviously, you know, exceedingly unlikely you win here tonight, but this has been a good team in years past, and I'm sure they believe they're going to be a good team this year as well. So it will be interesting to see as the season goes on how they kind of progress past this first matchup here.
Yeah, we do have to remember TriMAC did win their conference regular season trophy last year, beating out Blake, Providence Academy, and Breck in the standings. Last year, TriMAC went 9-5, 3-0 in conference. The Raiders, on the other hand, went 4-10. They finished fourth place out of 6 in the Metro East. Hastings has earned the running time.
That's another goal there by Carter Hansen. That's a hat trick for him tonight on my score sheet. Take another look at it here, and I mean, again, just the passing is on point, and the setup was so obvious. It's hard to tell from that angle, but number 15 Noggle, I mean, you get a little bit of a better view here, but the setup was so obvious, and yet it worked. Just a great kind of turnaround shot there for Hansen.
That connection between Noggle and Hansen just drop dead gorgeous.
You know, and I don't want to read into it too much, but, you know, teams have bad games. You know, you never know. You know, Hastings could have had a good game tonight, and TriMAC could have, you know, had a bad game. You don't know how travel was. You don't know if they got a late start to the season. You don't know
if the stomach bug is flying around the team bus.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, you never know. You can only speculate, obviously.
So we got 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter from Hastings. Across the middle and picked up by Brady Brzezinski, who's had a very, very quiet evening.
And I'm sure that's just the way he likes it.
Hastings' last win at home was against Rochester. Now, remember, at least last season, I don't know if anything's changed this year, Rochester played all 3 schools in the same co-op. So they played with the Rochester Century logo and mascot, but it was Century, John Marshall, and help me out here, what am I missing? Rochester Mayo all together.
Now, see, that's a co-op that makes sense. I can get behind a one-city co-op. When you have schools from, you know, 9 different cities, things get a little interesting.
So that was the Raiders' last win, because they lost 5 games in a row to close their season last year, including the playoffs. They lost in that Class 1A Section 3 quarterfinal at Egan. So not the ending of the season that Hastings wanted last year, but with the way they've played tonight, they are getting exactly what they want out of the start of this season.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know how many times you run the simulation if they could put up a performance like this. I mean, this is just an A-plus performance here. Of course, you still got to close it out here, it becomes a little less sweet if you end up winning the game, 13 to 6 or something. Still want to play stout, even in running time.
Some aggressive pushing here, and watch out. Oh, someone should go check on, looks like she's getting up. Our incredible photography staff. And now she's getting a round of applause from the Raider bench.
It's a live field. It is a live field out there.
By the way, she did not land on the turf. She landed on the cement.
Yeah, that is brutal.
So glad to see that everybody's okay.
Lacrosse is such a tough sport. Even the photographers are in on it.
And we have a new goaltender out there for TriMAC. It looks like it's a player who's not on the roster.
The best kind of player.
You've got, there's at least 30 different names on this roster I have in front of me, and none of them wear number 14.
I'm led to believe that's Daniel Graff, according to
Daniel Graff. We'll go with it.
Minnesota Lacrosse Hub.
No better source.
Well, if that's not who that is, then certainly feel free to send in a comment.
That is what the YouTube comment section is for. And I should have my cell phone up just in case our producer Hunter Pinky is sending us any notes. But
noticeably smaller player than Ridnour, but I mean
But to my knowledge, he has not let in a goal yet.
Well, there's that as well. Size is certainly not everything, but a tough outing for Ridnour because I don't feel like he played necessarily bad. A lot of it was on the defense. A lot of it was how good Hastings was just offensively.
Put in some precarious situations nearly every single minute. I mean, look at this shell. Look at this defense just collapsing in on itself.
I mean, if you've ever attempted to be a lacrosse goaltender, it is same with hockey. It's such an unenviable thing to have somebody whip something as hard as possible at you. The goal is so much bigger than you are. A lot of times, I don't know if they wear shin pads now, but they didn't wear shin pads when I was playing lacrosse.
And they are wearing they're wearing the big helmets, but to my knowledge, there's not much else that's protecting the other regions of their body.
I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Even if you get hit in the head, it's still gonna hurt.
Yeah,
it's not. It's better than not wearing a helmet, but it's still gonna hurt.
That's no wiffle ball out there that they're throwing around. That is you would not want to get hit with that.
No, you think it's just some bouncy rubber ball. I mean, I guess technically it is rubber, but you think it's some light thing, but it's got a lot of weight behind it.
So just over 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go here from Hastings, where the Raiders lead 13-1. Thank you for watching tonight on Hastings Community TV YouTube and Town Square TV. In the middle, and that one was nearly sent to Highway 61.
Yeah, it's always interesting if you can send it high enough to hit off the rocks, because it will bounce back.
Down to the 10. Still slashing around, and we may have some players who get less playing time into the game now for TriMAC. But the delegation of Blackhawk fans is loud and proud tonight at Todd Field.
Well, you don't travel this far in this type of weather to be a quiet crowd, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. On a Thursday night, nonetheless, in front of the net, no good for Jack Zaruba.
Yeah, Graff is letting him know. I mean, he's looked pretty good. I think the defense has improved a little bit as well. But
he's directing traffic out there like Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, that's the one benefit to blowouts on both sides of the equation is getting some of those players who might not play as much, because you never know, injuries, that's a massive hit. But injuries happen, and there's always the next generation to try to get playing time as well. You never know how that could benefit you in the short term or certainly the long term.
You wonder, because we don't have the live stats or the stats enough to know. Out in front of the net and scored. Matt Noggle.
Yeah, that's going to be his first goal of the game. I think he has at least one assist in the game as well. And that one materialized really quick there. They set that up perfectly on the angle too. That's tough for the goaltender to go from hugging the post to turning around and trying to field that shot there.
Quick turnaround, just in the right place at the right time. Running time keeps us going. 1:11 with third quarter dwindling away.
That's the one thing that is so much harder about lacrosse compared to hockey. I mean, obviously, in hockey you can get around back behind the net, but it's not a lot of space between the back of the net and the boards. And obviously the net is facing one way, of course, but you almost have to defend in 360.
Not many high school players can pull off the Michigan goal, even though most of them think they can.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of delusion across the state with that one, but
I mean, how about, speaking of high school hockey, well, you think about that one flying across down to the south side of the field. An 18-year-old, Macklin Celebrini, with his first NHL hat trick last night at the Xcel Energy Center. He was born in 2005, and Marc-Andre Fleury began his career, the goal he scored on, in 2003.
Time keeps moving, doesn't she? That's crazy.
Well, time does expire here on the third quarter. The Raiders lead 14-1. No more shutout. That ended a while back, but TriMAC is looking to warm up the buses. Luckily, with running time, we're getting there. What do you think is the biggest goal for TriMAC and the Raiders in the fourth?
What's the biggest goal for the fourth quarter? Well, I think just closing out in a good fashion. Even though TriMAC is losing, you still want to play with pride and close out well. And for Hastings, even though you're dominating, you still want to close out well. So I think just their conduct in the fourth quarter is going to be the biggest goal.
We'll be right back with the fourth quarter. You're watching Hastings Community TV.
Today, 4 Minnesotans lost their lives from fentanyl poisoning, and 4 more will tomorrow. Fentanyl is the #1 killer of 18 to 45-year-olds. It's killing more and more 12 to 17-year-olds. They're people we care about.
Like my brother.
My sister.
My best friend.
We have the power to make a difference in our community. Join us in the fight against the fentanyl crisis.
Welcome back to Todd Field at McNamara Stadium. The Hastings Raiders boys lacrosse team up 14-1 in their first game of the season against TriMAC. They're up by 12 or more. Well, they're up by 13, but what I mean to say is they're up by at least 12, so running time will continue, barring a timeout or an injury on the field.
Yeah, it's almost bittersweet because when you're beating a team this badly, you almost don't want the game to end. You want to have everybody get in and score a goal, but you get up by enough points. Obviously, you get that running time. And
moving it around in front, a gorgeous pass and an even better goal. Richard Romans, the sophomore, finally breaking in the second half for TriMAC.
Well, there still can be small wins even in a bigger loss, and that's obviously a good start here to the fourth quarter in running time here for TriMAC. You know, just trying to, I don't want to say pad, just, you know, get your stats up, but, you know, try to get something going.
I don't, yeah, the stat padding is a interesting discussion. Under 11 minutes to go. It appears that we may have accidentally added a goal to the Raider tally instead of the TriMAC tally. I believe it's 14-2.
I mean, I know we're used to adding the goal to the Hastings category. It is 14-2, not 15-1.
So just to confirm, ladies and gentlemen, it is 14-2, not 15-1. So now it looks like our scoreboard in the stadium is fixed. Hopefully the score bug will be back on the screen in a second. Now, remember, if TriMAC scores again, then running time will be shut off.
Yeah, that's always interesting to get it to running time and then to take it back out. Typically not how that would work.
So Brzezinski seeing some more action tonight in the Raider net, and a fan favorite allegedly, William O'Brien, the sophomore midfielder, carrying it down. Henry Hartland, number 1, the star player of TriMAC, controlling it. 9:15 to go in the fourth.
One of only 2 goal scorers tonight here for TriMAC. So, you know, the Raiders' defense holds up here. Obviously been really stellar. It's easy to focus on the offense when you look at the scoreboard, but, you know, certainly half of the reason they're in running time is this stout defense as well.
At the 25-yard line, working down in front of the net, nearly went in. Raiders chasing after it, but TriMAC gets it back.
Yeah, we'll take another look at that replay here. There's that last shot attempt there by number 1 for TriMAC. Raiders passing has obviously been really good tonight, but their speed has really allowed them to kind of get through that transition period, you know, closer to the crease.
Man, this fourth quarter is flying by. It feels like a minute ago I looked over and we had the fresh 12, but it is just ticking away. The Raiders, and a beautiful save made. How about that? Daniel Graff getting some applause from the Blackhawk faithful. Just chopping away. Still up. And another save. 1-to-1 save.
You know, and that can invigorate your team sometimes. You know, you see a goaltender stand on their head like that. I mean, it's been a pretty good performance from Graff in relief.
And a hard fall taken.
Wow, that is a massive hit.
He lost his stick, but he's back up now. That was Walter Beckman.
I was worried that he was knocked out. He didn't move there for a split second.
And he just collapses into the penalty box. And
yeah, they're going to have to check him for a head injury here. You see it on the replay. That's a really big hit.
A coach just helped him to his feet. He's standing up on the south side wall now. He is walking with some assistance, and it looks like he had the wind knocked out of him. He's sitting down on the bench now, and he is in some serious pain. But we are going to take a brief timeout here anyways. Our officials will conference.
Yeah, certainly player health obviously comes first and foremost. Hate to see it.
A few minutes away from the tip-off between the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves down in Memphis tonight. A win for either team will likely keep them out of the play-in tournament next week. Maybe the biggest game of the year for the Wolves. Their last road game of the regular season, they'll come back and play a couple of bad teams, the Nets and the Jazz, to close the season. Now, the Raiders are trying to close this game up by 12.
Yeah, it seems like we're always in for a good matchup with the Grizzlies. How many years ago was that now where they had that first-round playoff series against them? Was it 2 seasons ago?
2022, so that'd be 3 years ago.
Oh, man, time flies on the scoreboard and in real life as well.
Yeah, so that was 2022, and Timberwolves got eliminated right at the end of April, and that was the year that they beat the Clippers in that play-in game. The next year, they would get gentlemen swept by the Denver Nuggets, who went on to win the championship, and we all know what happened last year.
Had the legendary Patrick Beverley celebration as well.
Yes, that famed game against the Clippers back in 2022. And people made fun of us for that, but you know what? I'll take it. When you go through all that this state sports community has gone through, well, when we have a breakthrough like that, we're allowed to celebrate. At the time, I actually argued for Patrick Beverley's number to be retired up in the rafters of Target Center, but now that I've had a couple of years to digest that opinion, I realize I was wrong.
Maybe a little caught up in the moment there.
Yeah.
It is a pretty low bar to get your number in the rafters there at Target Center.
Yeah, but now that Glenn Taylor's finally gone, maybe Kevin Garnett can get his number up in the rafters.
It's crazy. It's crazy that it's not already up there, but I hope you're right.
The NBA Board of Governors, the owners of the teams, still have to certify the ownership change before it can happen, but Glenn Taylor has stated that he's not interested in filing any more appeals and that he's ready to give up the team as TriMAC gives up another goal.
Yeah, that looked like that. Just took an unfortunate bounce there, just a defensive lapse for TriMAC. Uncertain who the goal scorer was in that sequence.
I don't want to just base it off of whoever's celebrating the most, but I think we'll see on replay here.
I think it was just an own goal.
It dribbled through, but who was the last player to touch the ball before that happened?
I think it was a TriMAC defender. Kind of kicks it.
I have no idea. I think the TriMAC goaltender put that in on themselves.
Yeah, I would probably lean towards that being an own
I don't know.
goal.
I think the only way of figuring out and properly giving a goal on MN Lacrosse Hub is going to have to go back on the website on the live stream that you're watching right now and see who the last Raider was to touch that ball.
Yeah. Well, you were a little hyperbolic with the Patrick Beverley thing, but can I be a little hyperbolic?
Yes, you may.
After this game, I want to put Malecchio's number up in the rafters.
Where would the rafters be here at I almost said Hastings High School, but the high school's across the town here at Todd Field. You know, I like the idea of the brick wall over there underneath the lamp post, or maybe on the top side of the Hastings High School, the Hastings Raider logo where the truck flew 3 years ago on the other side of the fence, where we could retire some numbers.
Yeah, you could do that. You got a gigantic wall there on the end zone too. There's there's good spots.
I wonder who. That would be an interesting conversation. I guess you'd have to go look at the really well put together Athletic Hall of Fame wall on the gymnasium at the high school to see, like, because it is difficult when you have so many high schoolers come through over the years. Like, if you're going to retire a number, it probably has to be like sports specific. You gotta You'd probably retire UTEC's number for football.
Well, probably Bob McNamara as well.
Yeah.
The stadium's named after him. Hockey would be interesting. There's some hockey players.
I don't know if you retire Stepan though, just because of transitioning to the private school before he went off.
That's tough because he's probably the most accomplished NHLer.
You think about Jeff Tafe or anybody else?
Yeah, that would be an interesting discussion. Yeah, you would have to consult the inside of the high school to figure. I'm sure there's so many deserving players. I mean, you get a town this size for this long. I mean, you get quite a few good players that come through here.
You know, I had no idea about this until 3 weeks ago or so, but Sidney Crosby was so good, so young, 13, 14. He was starting to play with the older kids, that the Canadian families and the Canadian older kids started bullying him up there and just going after him every game, to the point where Sidney Crosby had to move to southern Minnesota to play at Shattuck before he could go back to the Canadian junior leagues.
Well, that's a real thing too. You know, those players that get that exceptional status where they can play in the juniors a year early, like McDavid and guys like that. That's a real thing. It's rough for them because they're not generally welcomed.
They're so skilled, but their size is just not caught up yet to the kids who are 3 years older than them. Under a minute 30 to go. Hastings up 15-2 over TriMAC. And the clock will continue to roll, sending home the fans a little bit early tonight, but you know what? I think they got their money's worth.
Well, yeah, certainly if you're a home fan, you did.
There have been a couple of highlights for the TriMAC fans thus far. Under a minute to play as we continue to run this clock out. Thank you for joining us tonight on Hastings Community TV. Make sure you stick around after the game is over. We'll tell you all about our upcoming broadcast schedule. We'll thank our incredible crew tonight, and then we'll sign off. But we want to let you know about all of our upcoming games that are free to watch on Hastings Community TV's YouTube channel.
I'm sure we've got some upcoming boys lacrosse games on the schedule as well, and those will certainly be highly anticipated after this one.
So much to look forward to here in the spring from all the sports, and even graduation coming your way in June right here at Todd Field if we have good weather. 5 seconds to go, and the Hastings Raiders with an emphatic 15-2 victory to open the 2025 season.
Little bit of guitar playing there from Brzezinski. That's the type of vibes we have here tonight. Just could not have gone any better for the hometown Raiders.
And as the public address announcer just said, that is a wrap. What a display tonight. The Raiders start the season 1-0.
Well, that's the best way to start the season. I mean, just every single sector of the game, goaltending, defense, positioning, passing, shooting, effort, speed, physicality. The Raiders, it was not a complete shutout because they gave up 2 goals, but it felt like a complete shutout. I mean, just an amazing performance here from Hastings.
Our upcoming broadcast, we will have baseball versus Matamidi on the 14th of April, softball versus North St. Paul on the 15th, a day later. And then the week after that, we got girls lacrosse versus St. Paul Two Rivers. And then you got boys lacrosse versus Matamidi on the 25th. And for anybody wondering, the next game for TriMAC will be against Hermantown Proctor at Minnehaha Academy, Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Looking to our credits tonight, thank you to our producer, director extraordinaire, Hunter Pinky, camera operators, Ian Andersek, Max Slocum, Will Seelan, and Seth Essler. Graphics and replay done by Hunter Pinky. Color commentating tonight, Owen Ely, and I am Carl Warner. Thank you so much for watching Hastings Community Television alongside Town Square TV tonight. Signing off, Raiders win by a lot.